If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Benchwarmers, it's no longer a drill. We're no longer waiting for anything. As you are listening to this, we have regular season NFL football. It counts. Games will be going on as you're watching this live Thursday. We are recording this Wednesday because I'm going to be out in Pueblo watching some live college football. I'll have to catch up on the Thursday night game. Obviously, there's games Thursday, Friday, college Saturday, NFL Sunday, Monday Night Football. I had to title it the controlled substance of football because if you put anything else, you'll get demonetized. But if you know, we are going to be injecting that pure controlled substance of football, but we will have a couple other things to hit on. Mainly, at the beginning, we'll talk a little bit about Nico's weekend. Oh, the way I didn't forget, Nico's 28 now. Nico's the elder statesman of the podcast. Monday, Labor Day, if you had the day off, congratulations. You got to celebrate Nico's birthday by having a day off. It's good to see you.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's the best week of the year. It's a full. I mean, obviously we got a half of a football slate. I don't really count Sunday and Monday night's games. Obviously, Sunday's game this past week in college football was very good. Monday's game was ass. So I will say we can finally get our first official full slate of football. And obviously, I love college football, but NFL is my love. And seeing that we have Thursday night game, Friday night game, and Sunday, NFL, and Monday, my fantasy teams are ready to roll, and I just cannot wait. So I'm excited.
Yeah, fantasy. We had I actually did my first bid draft yesterday with my brother Dom. My dad and I are in a league. We had a $300 cap, so I actually got to play armchair GM. And as much shit as we've been giving Jerry Jones, there was a couple times like we ended up with the kicker from Dallas because we decided, this is the one we'll fuck around. Let's see who we can bid up. And we hit $6 on our kicker. And it was like, congratulations, you've drafted. Oh, damn it. It was a joke. You missed the joke. But obviously fantasy football is what a lot of people are excited to watch. I've been excited for the college slate, the NFL slate. Before we switch over and get fully into the gridiron, let's talk about the semifinals in Philly. I have to give you another shout out because I got the picture, the seats that you got, my cousin. They were fantastic. So really, I appreciate you getting him in. And I know that he enjoyed it. He's a Philly fan. So unfortunately, he walked away kind of upset too. But we have New York and we have Denver coming up in 2 weeks. So we don't necessarily need to break down that matchup. But the semifinal games, if you want to talk about your game, I know that we kind of already put a bow on the season. But what are some final thoughts for this year in the PLL?
I mean, it sucks when you're not the team winning the championship. Only one team league at the end of every professional sports league is happy at the end, and unfortunately, we weren't the ones that were happy at the end of it. Look, we were a very young team, new coaching staff, a lot of new players. We came into the season with not a lot of expectations. People were expecting us to be dead last in the West, expecting us to not have another bad year, be picking number one overall, and blah, blah, blah. And we come in and we shock a lot of people, defeat the defending champs on their home turf. We win the first round of the playoff game against a team that we were not picked to win against the Chaos. And then we come into Denver play against Denver, and we have a lead to start the game. And then unfortunately, they realized why they were the best team, one of the best teams in the league, and then just poured it on from there. It was a tough end of the season. It always sucks the last weekend you travel, but I'm very happy to be home, and I'm very thankful for the time I had with the guys because it was a great year, top to bottom, and this group will never be forgotten in terms of building where we will build off of this for future teams and future hopeful championships.
Yeah, I know we kind of fell off with our coverage of that Any Given Saturday series, but it was they had a lot of the same sentiments because the most recent episode was following Texas A&M and Mississippi State when they lost their rivalry game. And I was thinking about it a little bit too because obviously, like, when the season ends, most of the time in youth and high school sports, you have at least the luxury that most of the guys are coming back. Professional sports are different. There is not going to be the same roster turnover. It's not like the Redwoods are going to put in their lineup card next year and everybody's going to be 100% exactly the same. That's the way business works.
Yeah, 10 of our 19 guys the last 5 weeks or 6 weeks or so of our roster were not even on the roster at the last game and last year. Mm-hmm. And we had a goalie that wasn't even a starter last year. We had another handful of midfielders that weren't everyday midfielders that were playing at the end of the year. It was a bad news bears of makeups, and we're only going to build off of this. So sucks. End of the year, Outlaws were a damn good team for a reason, and one of the best teams, if not the best team, with probably the best player in the whole country too on their team. So it's going to be. I'm excited to watch the championship game. Excited not to be a part. Not excited that I'm not a part of it, but it should be a wonderful game.
The good news is that it'll put a little bit more fire in the Champ Series. I know that the Champ Series is a little bit different, and it's not the ring that you want to play for, but it is at least another opportunity to play. And when you have these moments where it sucks to not be with your guys again, it doesn't make it hurt any less. But I've been watching a lot of different philosophy stuff, and be grateful for the pain. It means that you're still alive. It means that you have another opportunity. It means that it meant something to you, damn it. And a lot of people do stuff that doesn't mean a whole lot to them.
It's funny you say that because Coach Tooney, who's the Water Dogs head coach, they had a little video package for him about before the first round of the playoffs, before the Water Dogs played the and he had this saying, it's like death or losing is worse than death because you have to live with losing. You don't have to live with death. And I was like, that's just psycho behavior, but kind of feels right because you have to live with losing.
The motivation has to be there, but you also have to be like, you have to accept that. And we talk about it in every sport too. This team was young and it would have been an incredible story. Not saying that it couldn't have happened, but now that they have this callus, now that they have this experience, whether it's on this team next year or wherever they end up, whatever roster in the future, they will take that lesson and they will take that pain, because obviously if you've never been to a championship before, when you're that close and you lose, I mean, I can't think of many fates worse than that. We finished our high school career in the semifinals, and I will tell you that Dom and I sat for a solid 30 minutes in the car afterwards, just having a good old brotherly ball session, because bawling crying session. I should put that disclaimer out there. We were crying our eyes out because it was like, that's it. That's the last one. And this hurts because now I have to remember we didn't quite get there. We didn't quite make it to what we wanted. And you can take that for what it is. You can let it affect you negatively. You can put it to the good things in the future. For the Eastern Conference semifinals, I know that you were preoccupied, but what did you see in that matchup? Where did the Atlas really take advantage of the Water Dogs and send Philadelphia home?
I mean, the Atlas's defense is what stepped up big time in the goaltending from Liam Entenmann, who's one of the best, if not the best goalie in the league right now, is just absolutely showed out. The defense of the Atlas that really kind of struggled for parts of the year really shut down everything they had from midfield for the midfield position from the Atlas, from the Water Dogs, and really forced the team to be very one-dimensional with CJ Kurson and Michael Sauer. So, and like I said, that's one thing that you have to be able to do when you play the Atlas, is you have to be able to match scoring, because when you have as many offensive production players as they have in Schellenberger, in Xander Dixon, in Jeff Teat, Atlas probably have the two MVPs most recently. Jeff Teat last year, more than likely going to be Connor Schellenberger this year. This offense hits you with so many different ways. You have to be able to keep matching them. And one thing that the Atlas defense has not done at times when they struggled this season was matching. And obviously, when they are playing as strong as they were this past weekend, it's going to elevate them even further. So the Atlas were a team that really defended on their goaltending, and Liam Entenmann helping them be the backbone back there and just make it unreal save after unreal save. The offense just does what the offense does.
Offense scores points, defense wins championships. I love when you get to see two teams that truly have like a best thing that they're good at. It's when you see the number one offense go up against the number one defense, outside of when it happens in the Super Bowl, because the number one defense always dominates the number one offense in the Super Bowl. Those regular season matchups are where you get the really fun, exciting, explosive plays. The semifinals and the scores, Water Dogs lose to New York. Philadelphia drops their game to the Atlas 13-11, and the California Redwoods end their season against the Denver Outlaws 12-7. We will talk a little bit more about that Denver-New York matchup. That's not for another week still. That will be taking place in Harrison, New Jersey at Sports Illustrated Stadium. So I'm learning all of these new stadiums following the PLL. That's the cool thing about the touring model, is I would have never known like what Johns Hopkins University Stadium name is. Obviously, I've forgotten it already, but you get to play in a lot of different places, and that, I think that's kind of the cool aspect of this tour model. So we'll be gearing up for that. I'm going to let Nico rest and recover. It would be difficult for me to make him talk about the team that just beat him in the championship game a couple days after it happened. Oh yeah, and by the way, that was Nico's birthday. I told him in the text message that I sent, I was trying to let you focus, and I was hoping, putting out good energy, that would be the present that they give you. But
just the most wonderful birthday, and and look, obviously, they made it feel very special. All the players and guys and the staff and everything made it very as good as it could be. But as my coworker asked me, she was like, "Oh, how are you going to celebrate your birthday?" I was like, "Well, I'm not going to be really celebrating if we lose, because I can't really celebrate. What are you going to celebrate? Another day?"
There's going to be beer involved, but the mood and the tone is going to be.
There's not really much celebrating, so it is what it is.
That's one of those nights where you just sit in your garage drinking Coors Banquets, and you have country music blasting from the late 90s, early 2000s. You're not heartbroken over love, but the songs hit in the same spot. You can just kind of think about your team. Alabama fans know what I'm talking about. Before we get into our college football wrap-up of week 1 and look at some matchups of week 2, we haven't said it yet. Make sure you follow at FEOTV Pod, subscribe to the channel. All of the different things, bookmark the website. That's where everything gets posted right away. Audio episodes, video episodes, the blog series, Rise of the Roadrunners. We're into week 6. We have another American Conference matchup coming against Rice this Friday. And that brings us to college football. I think that we should start kind of chronologically. Let's go with what's closest to us. It happened in Boulder. We had very vastly different takes right after this game. My take has kind of shifted after I've seen what the coaching staff has come out and said, and I haven't really enjoyed the response. I'm going to actually go ahead and say your part, but I'm going to pull up our tweets because they kind of came out right in succession, and I think it's important for people to hear what the thoughts were in the moment.
First of all, we realize once again why Pat Shurmur has been on 15 different teams in 5 years, and how
he coached Peyton Manning though. He's good. He coached Peyton Manning.
So did Adam Gase. Okay, Peyton Manning. Let's not. Peyton Manning put lipstick on a fat pig, and did it for multiple coaches, multiple. And Aaron Rodgers did the same thing. David Hackett. It's something. Tom Brady. Maybe he did it with Bill Belichick after his coaching performance at UNC, right? We could go down a list of quarterbacks.
That needed to be put on After Dark. I should have watched that on Cinemax, not ESPN.
I mean, we could go down a list of quarterbacks that gave coaches jobs they didn't deserve. Pat Shurmur got lucky that Deion was like, I need a guy that's like an offensive coordinator that has some NFL experience. Little did he realize that, I haven't watched NFL football in a long time. So this guy's the name I know. And he coached Peyton Manning, so he'll be able to coach Shador. He's going to have great time management. He'll be great down the late game stages of that game. I was floored, absolutely floored. There is a 5th grader that is playing NCAA football probably right this second that has better clock management in the last minute of a football game than what Pat Shurmur did. Anyone that's played a football game on Madden, NCAA football, NFL Blitz, whatever the hell you want, Tech 9 football, whatever you want to do, knows, I have a minute left. Okay, I have 2 timeouts here. Let's think about this. Let me throw a swing pass and then follow it up by a pass down the middle, and let me not use one of those timeouts during either of those plays.
I have a question. I have a question from the back.
Go ahead.
Do you get extra points for keeping your timeouts at the end of the game?
No, you do not get extra points for keeping your timeouts.
Okay.
I sat there and I was like, clock's still ticking. You're running a swing play. Why are we doing this? Okay.
Did he forget about the way they changed the clock rules, maybe? Is that?
I don't understand. Even if you get the first down, you're not even clocking the play. You're not even starting to spike. You're not even using the timeouts. It's one thing. You got gifted an opportunity. That game should have never even got to the point where you got the ball back. Because Hayden King, or whatever his name is, Haynes King, all you had to do is slide, and they kick a field goal, and the clock expires.
I'll talk a little bit more about that because I've dug into Georgia Tech since that game. But yes, you're correct. He should have gone down, and they wouldn't have even had a chance.
You had a chance. And frankly, like I said, you had multiple mistakes Georgia Tech was giving the football away more than Oprah Winfrey.
3 interceptions in the first 8 minutes, or 3 turnovers in the first 8 minutes.
They gave the football away more than Oprah Winfrey gave out free handouts when she had the show, had her own show. Like, I don't understand how you have all these opportunities. And look, I thought the team. Look, obviously they're a much different team. It's maybe 2 returning starters on both sides of the ball. I understand that.
37 seniors on this team. Did you realize they had 37 seniors in this program?
They
had 13 more than Georgia Tech.
I just sat there and I was like, look, you were the underdog in this game. We talked about before. They were the betting underdog. Georgia Tech was favored to win that football game. We were like, you know what? If CU shows us something and shows us that they could contend, they could be a problem in the Big 12 and see what happens after that. And then I sat there for most of the game. I was like, you know what? They're just making mistakes that first-year starters do, right? Yeah. Caden Salter showed why he was at Liberty for 4 years and not in a big school.
I know that Shermer deserves a lot of blame for not using his timeouts, but you're a fifth-year senior quarterback who's played Power 5 football before. And like you said, anybody who's ever played football knows you don't get extra points when you keep your timeout. So he could have called the timeout. He could have. I know that you're a college kid.
It's also the check down to the swing back when you have to go 80 yards.
Shermer doesn't teach you how to read a defense. He's not. That's the downfall. And I guess we can start there.
Pat Shermer how to read defenses. Okay?
Yeah. Caden Salter's not playing. We're going to see Juju Lewis this week. Dion has made that official.
Confirmed? I didn't know that.
He made it. I was watching 9 News yesterday. I don't know if he's starting, if it's going to be the whole time. He said that it's not going to be based on the game flow. We will see Juju Lewis this weekend. So quarterback is already going to be changed.
He's a 17-year-old kid. That's my biggest.
He's a kid that reclassified so that he can be in college earlier.
That worries me a little bit. I mean, he was a 5-star recruit. Don't get me wrong. But this kid is tiny. He's not like Johnny Football out there that was like 6'3", and at least a built body as a freshman. He looks like a high schooler. That's my biggest worry.
Yeah, he's a little bit shorter. Salter's a little bit taller and skinnier. Because he's shorter, he's built more stocky. So our tweets, mine went out first. I said Salter was good and bad, and I stand behind that. I think that there were plays. He bailed Shermer out of a couple of those. Like the reason why they scored to tie the game is because Caden Salter's a hell of an athlete. He was able to run it in for a touchdown. So he does good things, but the team was up and down too, like what you just said. First-year mistakes, players that maybe haven't always been there or haven't been in that magnitude of a situation. Ultimately, I came down to once you put it all together, once they put a full – like they're undisciplined, so you can tell Prime hasn't been around for the offseason because their penalties were horrendous. They gave up a 15-yard penalty when they had a third down stop, and I think it was 3rd and 20. So it was an automatic first down penalty. It only moved the ball 5 yards. But instead of getting your ass off the field, putting the ball back in your offense's hands, which was hot in the third quarter, they continue on. Georgia Tech is a team. Georgia Tech, here's the weird thing about them that I've learned. They would rather beat you like they beat CU by a touchdown than beat you by 30.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what they've gone through as a program. 3 years ago, they were running the triple option. Like they've had people that go to the league. They had Megatron. They had Demarius Thomas, but they weren't showcased. Georgia is a hotbed of talent. They finally switched their offense. Brent Key is a former offensive lineman, so they run the shit out of the football. I think they run 70% of the time, past 30% of the time. In college, that's even more ridiculous than if we looked at it in the NFL.
Haynes King had more rushing yards than he did passing yards.
He can't throw them.
And he threw for 150 yards.
Yeah,
he ran for 170.
But honestly, if we think back to the opener last season too, everybody wants to give a lot of praise to this defensive coordinator. And I think that he's done better than what they had in the first year of Prime. But if your quarterback could run, they kill the CU defense. They kill it. That's North Dakota State almost walked into Folsom last year and beat them, punked them with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders because the quarterback could run and pick up first downs, keep the ball in possession. So they have a strength coach that said that winning doesn't, even if you're up by 7, winning doesn't come to you. You still have to go out and get it.
I will say
that's why Haynes King scored that touchdown.
When you struggle to be able to stop a mobile quarterback in college, let me preface this by when I say college, that 95% is precedent on your linebackers not being able to read plays. NFL mobile quarterbacks, offensive lines in the NFL is a different story. They scheme in a certain way. They be able to move it around. When it shows to me is the college, because college offensive linemen, there's The difference between the best offensive line in the SEC and the worst line in the SEC is not a huge difference. It's still very, very good, right? You look at like the worst FCS offensive line and the best FCS offensive line. There's not a massive difference. It's a few, maybe one or two really good players. Besides that, you can see it's not like a bunch of crazy schemes like you have the Eagles running against you. If you're a middle linebacker for this Colorado football team, if you're a defensive lineman, if you are a corner safety, and you are letting Haynes King run scot-free, untouched 60 yards for a touchdown when you have to get a stop on third down, it is a problem on you. I as much as I want to argue that the defense coordinator didn't do a good enough job scouting it, but you have to be able to read a play too.
Yeah, and what happens when you lose contain, Nico? What sport do you end up playing?
Quarterback does not want to get hits. He's not actively contacting getting hits. That all shows me is a lack of discipline. Haynes
King is a little bit different in that he can't throw. He's a right-handed Tim Tebow who plays at Georgia Tech. It physically hurts me to watch him throw the football. But like I was just saying, and I teach my 8th graders this too. When you lose contain, you play girls soccer. We learned that all through our youth football. That was our coach's favorite saying because we had our defense ends playing a certain way. We had to keep contained if we wanted to play him that way. Otherwise, we were in trouble. CU still doesn't understand that. CU needs to spend more time in the film room. They need to spend less time on social media, which is the same thing that everybody's been saying over the last however many years. Coach Prime, when you lose, can you be a Hall of Famer when you lose, please? Like you're not a Hall of Famer when you win, but can you at least be a gracious loser?
You're also not a Hall of Fame coach. You're a Hall of Fame player. Let's also put that out there.
But anytime anybody says something negative, we're attacking Pat Shurmur now because of the 2 timeouts that were left on the field.
Deserved,
but he doesn't think so. Deion put him on the staff, so Deion's sitting there not even taking bullets, trying to redirect bullets and fake scenarios, fake situations. You got outplayed. You got outcoached. Brent Key had his guys play tougher and harder than you did.
But also to a team that, frankly, been playing better football than you have the last couple of years. So that's also not sugarcoated because, and this is the backspin on this.
Let me ask you this: talent-wise, should CU have lost that game?
No.
Exactly. That's the only reason why it was close. The talent difference.
Difference is between it's not talent. It's the way they put their teams together. It's because Georgia Tech knows what it's like to play together, and CU all 45 whatever starters all just got put in the transfer portal together. So it's annoying as a CU fan because you look at the game, you're like, it's a very winnable game. Yeah. That's the problem. Is it's a winnable game that shows you that this team could win big games.
That reminded me of that
constant failures. It's the constant failures that they continue to struggle with from years past.
I feel the same way now after this game that I felt after that USC game. Remember when USC went up big in the second half and then CU showed, oh, shit, they can score 60 in a quarter and just fall barely short? I'm still waiting for you to get over the hump. Like, we can't replace you magnitude-wise, but I guarantee you we can get somebody that'll implement a program. It's one thing to build a culture.
This is year 3 of Deion. This is Deion's school. This is Deion's team. Year 3. You had first 2 years of all-pro, all-world talent, Travis Hunter, and maybe you can call Shedeur Sanders that, even though he's a 5th-round pick. Like, this is year 3. This is your program now. This is no longer the players of the years past. I know that 95% of the roster was turned over after year 1, but what are you going to say after year 3? Well, we did it again this year. That's just not how you build and I'm not calling CU to this level, but that's not how you build a Notre Dame level team. It's not how you build a Georgia, how you build a Texas or an Ohio State. It's how you become a University of Miami team that was hot and cold and will win some games that will make you happy, and at the same time will be like, why did you lose that game kind of team.
It doesn't give me confidence moving forward. If the coaching staff would have handled this differently, if they weren't going to make the split decision, because I don't know if Caden Salter played bad enough to warrant putting Lewis in.
It doesn't make sense that they did that right away.
That to me signals smokescreen. Don't pay attention to the actual stuff that's going on over here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Watch Juju Lewis play quarterback for us instead. Don't pay attention to the coaches not calling timeouts and not putting the players in the right play and the players not making the play. we're going to put in a new quarterback and everything's going to be fixed. That's not how shit works.
They're putting the blame on somebody else. That obviously they are not even looking at themselves in the mirror.
If I was a fifth-year senior that transferred to Deion's school with the understanding that this was a competition, and I was told I won this competition in week 1,
and then you like not only won it week 1, like he was told probably 2 weeks before that, hey, you're the guy. We're not going to announce it for a little while, but you're the guy, and then you're going to take all the first team reps, and we'll go from there. And then 1 week later, after a game where you almost could have won the game, very well had a chance to win that football game, and you lose to a Power 4 conference team, and you just say, nope, we're throwing a 17-year-old out there. He should have. It's constantly just shows me why this is not sustainable. And like I said, it's fun having had Travis Hunter. It's fun having Shedeur Sanders and having all this great talent that they had. Right. It's not as fun when this team goes 6-6 again and is playing in the Outback Bowl.
Well, the good news is they get a bounce back against Delaware, so Julian Lewis gets to go against a team that is one of the newest in Division I football. So whatever happens, it's the same thing that Florida did last year, if you remember, with Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. Lagway played the second week after Mertz got knocked out with a concussion. So that one was at least a little bit more warranted because Mertz couldn't have played. But after that, they play Houston, which is the opener of their Big 12 schedule. They'll go and host Wyoming the week after that. But with the way that this loss has shook the way that this loss has shook the program, the confidence I had directly after the game with what I saw on the field has totally gone away. I was still thinking they find themselves, they play a full game, play a disciplined game, they will still be right there for the Big 12 championship conversation. I'm starting to understand why everybody was predicting 6-6 now.
If they don't go 2-1 at minimum these next 3 games, they lose 2 of these next 3 games, the season's over and Deion's on, and the hot seat begins. And not necessarily the hot seat begins of do we fire Deion? It's the Deion needs to take a step back because he's not physically healthy to be able to lead this team, unfortunately. And it's being put in the wrong hands of people that are just there trying to create NFL talent. Because you have to beat Delaware. You have, and I mean have to beat Wyoming. That team is horrible. And you should beat Houston. Houston's
not god-awful. Houston is way worse. Houston is way worse than Georgia Tech.
So you need to, at minimum, go 2-1 if you don't go 3-0 these next 3 games.
Let's move to Saturday, and we'll start with the big game, the big noon kickoff. Ohio State wins 14-7 in their opener, defending their national championship season last year. Texas comes in as number 1. Arch Manning, for 3.5 quarters, looked like every other guy that's starting their first game in their college career in the shoe. That's what I want everybody to put into perspective. That's a terrible situation, and Sarkisian set him up for no success after not playing him last year against good teams. So if you expected this to go any differently, you believe in that Manning voodoo a lot more than most people. Let's go back to his family. Peyton Manning's first play in college, I believe he missed up the snap count on his first play, had a turnover in his second drive, ended up getting benched and not finishing the first game that he was inserted as a quarterback in. So this happens, even to the glorified and the untouchable Manning family. When you're starting out your career, you do have to learn. What I saw is in the last half of that fourth quarter, that was a kid that was downloading stuff and starting to put some stuff together, but that doesn't take away all of the crap that he put out there in the first 3.5 quarters.
Like let's not put, like I said that earlier, don't put lipstick on a fat pig. He wasn't good. He wasn't good. And everyone hyping up he was going to be the best quarterback in college football and blah, blah, blah. I was included in that conversation because I believe the hype.
They'll have to wait.
It has to wait. And it absolutely has to wait because you remember being like, you know what, this is still a 18, 19-year-old kid, probably 19 years old kid that did not play in big games last year in big moments. They played
Didn't play in big games in high school either because he got sent to that private school in Louisiana that plays against nobody.
It played against 2A school, so it's a whole different world. And like I said, Ohio State, let's not I know we give the Patriots staff a lot of shit. Matt Patricia is still a very good defensive coordinator.
Most defensive coordinators run zone or man. They're not disguising anything, and they're not mixing coverages. And Matt Patricia is a master of mixing defensive coverages.
And this defense, Caleb Downs may be the best player in the country.
I agree with you 100%.
Unreal. He is unreal. He is a guy that will be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I'll count it next year.
He reminds me of Isaiah Simmons and Kyle Hamilton when they were in college. They're just all over the place making every single play.
You just see a play happen, you're like, there's number 2 again. Like, where did he come from?
Well, think about that Indiana game. Indiana holds Ohio State to 7 points in the first quarter. Caleb Downs gets the first punt return to the second quarter, and he houses it. He's like, you thought this was a game. That is cute.
Like, if Caleb Downs played the offensive side of the football, he'd be Travis Hunter level. Like that's how good of a talent, how much speed, how much athleticism he has. He is going to be a game wrecker in the NFL, and he's a game wrecker now. I was not able to watch much of the game, that Ohio State Texas game, until the fourth quarter. I turned the game on and I was like, why the hell is this game 14-0? Am I missing something? Is this not say fourth quarter? Like, is this like something going on wrong? And I was looking at the highlights. And I was like, oh, that's why. The Ohio State defense made Arch Manning's job a living hell.
And give credit to the Texas defense too, because Julian Sand was obviously better than Arch, able to score 2 touchdowns, lead 2 touchdown drives. If Ohio State doesn't have Caleb Downs, I don't know who wins this football game, because Ohio State lacks a lot at the linebacker level. They lack a lot of that pass rush level, which makes sense because you let 2 guys go in the draft, and JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer were both picked up in the draft. So you will have to figure that stuff out. But it's nice to be able to rely on a coach with the pedigree of Matt Patricia. And if you remember Matt Patricia only from his last stint with the Patriots, there's a reason why he was never an offensive coordinator for more than half a season. He is a defensive guru. The pencil, even though his play sheet is laminated, I don't know why he keeps the pencil in his ear, because he can't write on laminated paper with a pencil. But the pencil, when it's a defensive pencil, when he's got the hat flipped backward, like Sylvester Stallone and over the top, that dude is going to confuse the shit out of your quarterback. And when your quarterback misses pretty much every throw, because even down to that last play, did you watch the fourth down conversion that missed? That ball was back here on a drag route on the back shoulder. There's a reason why you can't turn around as you're running full speed going the opposite way and be able to reach that with one hand. It happens once in a million. If Arch puts that in front of him, Texas maybe converts and is maybe able to push this thing into overtime. So Matt Patricia knows everything. And once he figures out who his pass rushers are, or if he has to send pressure to get, or send blitzes to get pressure, that's going to make them even more scary.
Matt Patricia did so good that he made us think that Bill Belichick was going to cook the TCU defense. That's how good Matt Patricia did and how badly he made Arch Manning look. We all of a sudden be like, oh, these NFL coaches, the college level, are going to be able to scheme the hell out of these bad teams. And then we realized, oh wait, Patricia has all world talent on his defense, and an offense that just didn't make mistakes.
Yeah. And think about the other Big Ten team that's won a national title. They brought in Wink Martindale, who was with the Ravens the season before as the defensive coordinator, and their defense was fucking lights out that year.
We can like slow down the hate on Ohio State a little bit here. Like, they are obviously one of the best, if not the best team in the country still. And they proved it why. It's like, I understand it was at home. I understand it was against a first-year starting quarterback. I understand all that. But to punk the number 1 team in the country preseason like that, and literally put the number 1 preseason ranked offense in Texas and have them put up a goose egg on the board, it shows how good Ohio State is even after all the players they lost. That's what a team does. A great program does is once they lose 2 starting running backs, starting quarterback, starting receiver, starting 2 defensive ends, starting D tackle, starting middle linebacker, all to the NFL, and you fill those roles in seamlessly, like there was nothing, didn't even miss a beat. That's what good programs do.
And it's also like Steve Sarkisian is credited as one of the best offensive coaches in college football. Matt Patricia was able to out-scheme him and was able to do that. I think both teams will be better. I think obviously Texas will have a cupcake before they start their SEC schedule, because that's how SEC teams roll. By the end of the season, I think we'll see a totally different Arch Manning when they're playing Texas A&M in the season finale and getting ready for a possible conference championship playoff run. But it wasn't good. It will have to get a lot better, and we'll have to get better at a little bit faster of a rate than people were expecting. I think the same about Ohio State. Their offense will get better. Smith was kind of held in check. So Texas deserves credit for that, but nobody else is going to be able to figure out how to do that. He's going to go back and watch the film. Both these teams are right there. I think that Ohio State should have been the preseason number one, especially as defending national champions. Do you share that sentiment at least?
Yeah, I think unless you have like a massive drop off where a national champion is like the 10th best team in the country, but going into the playoff, I think that they were a team that you have to give that credit to. And obviously, I haven't seen the poll this week. I would assume that they're number one already. So it's a little disrespectful, and frankly, poor Texas had to deal with that hype, because if it was flipped the other way around, we could have been like, you know what? Texas had a good showing against a national championship level team. But instead, all we're here sitting here talking about the number one Texas team lost week one. First time a number one AP poll team lost their first game of the year in 50 years or something like that.
It's also the first time that we've seen two top three schools go at each other week one, and I want that to continue. So let's not talk too much shit about Texas, because I would like to have week one matchups that are like this in the future.
And frankly, like the reason why this will stick around is because it won't mean as much at the end of the year, because both these teams will be playoff teams. If this game decided, like just throw this out there, because as soon as last year we had this, 2 years ago we had this. If it was a 2-team playoff or a 4-team playoff for a national championship, they would never do this game, because this would ruin your season. This would be like, you know what? Texas has to run the table. If they lose one game, they're not making the playoffs, or at least
even the team that wins, it's still a long ways to go to make sure that you stay undefeated after this one.
This is another reason the 12 team is making this even better, because I'm not saying that this is bad for college football, that this game doesn't mean anything. I'm saying is we get these early season matchups because it won't make or break a team's season right off the bat.
Before we get into the next two teams ranked matchup, because I have a lot to say about that one, let's talk about this Alabama situation. And before we talk about what Alabama didn't do and what they put out there on the field, I want to give a shout out to Florida State and Mike Norvell, because they could have
last year, and
they could have let last year totally derail them for the future. But think about it, 2 seasons ago, the only reason you missed the playoff is because your quarterback tears the shit out of his knee in the last game of the season. You're undefeated, 13-0, first 13-0 team not to make the 14 playoff. And you could have let the 2-10 season after that derail you for the foreseeable future.
Frankly, you're the school, the reason why we have 12-team playoff. Like you're the reason why these arguments started coming up. Well, why not? Why would they not make it?
Did you see who they had give their pregame hype speech on the big board?
No, I did not know.
Noted FSU, I think alumni. It took him 8 years. Bert Kreischer, the machine. The machine was the pump up speech on the jumbotron. But it really is like, I think that Mike Norvell, I think people were giving him credit, but he deserves a lot of credit, because what I was saying last year, the only reason why he's sticking around is because the buyouts in college coaching are astronomical at this point. So he got another pity season, and that was a statement. Now he has to continue it. It can't be a one and done against an Alabama team. You should be in a very good spot for this ACC. Clemson lost. Miami looked human. You look like you dominated what we know as the greatest college football dynasty of all time. It is a new coach, but it's still the brand. It's still the brand, and that's why I think it's as impressive as it was.
Can we call it the same brand? Because I don't think it is. I understand it's the logo.
That's honestly, it's the logo, it's the uniforms.
I understand that, but that's the only brand of football that's there left still. Because look at what this team has done. I heard someone talk about this quarterback situation. The Alabama football team is relying on Ty Simpson, who has sat in the program for 4 years and not played. He played under Bryce Young, played under
Jalen
Milroe for 2 years, sat in the program for 4 years. I don't know how many Alabama starting quarterbacks have done that in the last 30 years, but that's not something that's a vote of confidence. That sounds like we don't have any other option. You're a guy, right?
Nico, it's not even that. Did you hear about the hotel situation before the game? I just want you to frame this as, would Saban have allowed this? They're apparently up and causing a ruckus in the hotel until 2 a.m. in the morning. posting TikTok videos. They're practicing their dances at practice. They have a celebration session. I know that
Ted Lasso.
It's not Ted Lasso.
What are we doing?
You can't. It's disingenuous to compare him totally to the guy that he's taking over for, because Nick Saban is another breed entirely. The videos that have been resurfacing of his tantrums up 45-0 with 32 seconds left, and they give up a BS defensive pass interference call. You will never see another coach that cares as much as that. But you can't be what Kalen DeBoer has been right now.
The problem with your argument right there is why I'll stop you here. Like, I understand that the whole situation would be like, well, he can't be Nick Saban. That's fine. No one's asking you to be Nick Saban. Someone's telling you to not fucking steer the ship the wrong direction.
I'm gonna look up some of the things that the Alabama fans have been saying, because remember, he's coached less than 20 games for this team.
You have embarrassed this team in 2 years. Michael Penix Jr. may be the greatest college quarterback of all time if you got him, if he got Kalen DeBoer the Alabama job because of this. I don't understand in the slightest how I'll tell you, actually I do think about it. I do understand in the slightest because the NIL situation, why Nick Saban is not around anymore, because people at Kentucky can get paid as much as Alabama now. And so players like, well, I'll go play over there as opposed to competing every day with Alabama. Bama has a serious problem. Big problem. They are not anyone's circle on the schedule, scared to death, stare you down game. And dare I say it, this Alabama team may be the Missouri Tigers of the SEC this year. A team that, it could be a frisky game, but we'll probably go in there and win. That is asinine for me to say. I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Bama should not be that. It should not. It is ridiculous. I understand. Like I said, I understand Saban's not into those doors. You don't think for a second he has a say in everything that goes on there? And he doesn't have his office still up there in Bear Bryant Stadium? Kalen DeBoer, he will ship Kalen DeBoer off to the lowest level of FCS school you can find quicker than you can say Roll Tide. I don't understand how you can fumble the bag so much in Kalen DeBoer. He did a lot with very little at Washington. He's doing the bare minimum, if not worse, with a lot more available at Alabama.
I get it. There's also a $70 million buyout, and you can't
that
pay.
That means nothing to Alabama boosters.
Nico, you can't pay a $70 million buyout and then also still have $50 million invested into the roster.
That's
so the buyout,
fine, but those boosters would rather pay that money than have their heart and soul of their entire livelihoods. Because I've been to Bama, you have been too, and seen how psychotic their fan base is.
It's not a long leash, but if they fumble again within the first month of the season, he's not getting fired within the first month.
Oh, it'll be after the season. It won't be during the season. I won't go that far. It won't be during the season. I guarantee you he's not the quarterback of Alabama next year. This team doesn't make the playoffs somehow. Every single booster will come together and put $1 billion together. I've seen the houses in Tuscaloosa. Those are enough. Those people have enough money to put $1 billion together. Be like, put all of our money together. Everyone throw a couple G's in there, and then let's go get Dabo Swinney or go get somebody else.
Let's raise the GDP of the state of Alabama so we can buy out our head coach.
There's
the other thing.
If
you don't replace him with Saban, who do you replace him with? Dabo's not going to do shit for you. Did you see Dabo's comment?
If Clemson struggles a lot, and has a failure of a season,
but then why are you going to bring him into Alabama and have him turn around?
Because he went to school there.
I get it, but that's not. You're replacing. It's a satirical video, but you're replacing Jesus. If you're trying to replace Jesus, the first guy after him is going to suck.
I know, but the second guy is usually a lot better.
It's not Dabo.
I know, that's fine. It doesn't have to be Dabo. But I guarantee you there are at least 30 different coaches across college football that have, talking about NCAA football video game, have a little thing where it says, percent job upgrade by taking the head coaching job at Alabama. True or false?
Curt Cignetti. That's who... If a name is going to come in there with enough confidence, he used to coach there. He was Saban's offensive coordinator.
I think Sarkisian's name could come up. I think you could bring up Lane Kiffin again. I think you could bring up lots of coaches' names. You could bring up Coach O.
That one would be. I think
That
that one
would-
would be interesting.
That would be interesting. You could bring up a lot of names. Is all I'm going to say.
If I'm saying the one that I like the most out of those names, I like Lane Kiffin the most because what he's been able to do at Ole Miss, which is not what the resources he'd have at Alabama.
He would not. He would have resources up the ass in Alabama compared to Ole Miss.
But Kalen DeBoer has those same resources, and we said the same thing about Kalen DeBoer moving from Washington to Alabama.
But I'll say this: Lane Kiffin's a better coach than Kalen DeBoer.
There's not really a metric that you can use to say that.
Kalen DeBoer has had one successful season that got Washington a first-round exit in the playoff. Lane Kiffin has had teams that have been solid, not great level teams.
Never made the playoff.
I mean, obviously, majority of those years were the two-team playoff, but he's been very, very solid. I would guess that Lane Kiffin would be an upgrade over Kalen DeBoer. And like I want to take recency's bias out of the door because Lane Kiffin has not done a whole lot, but he's been consistently good. Kalen DeBoer, outside one season, what has he done?
Washington
was ass.
I would say that Lane Kiffin doesn't even really have a season that he can look back on because you never made any of the playoffs. You whined and complained so much about last year. Like, but again, the career records are similar, like 113 and 17. I get what you're saying. Like,
but again, the resources is the same thing. DeBoer has those resources. If Kiffin had those resources, I would guarantee he would be able to do more with it.
Or is he going to lose the locker room the same way that DeBoer has, and they're going to be filming TikTok dances for 3.5 hours?
I think Kiffin would be a much better steady force in that locker room than Kalen DeBoer. That's just me. And the reason why I say that is not necessarily because of the whole QB situation. Look at the way this defense follows the football. I know you've seen the videos.
Not even follow the football, walk after the football.
Middle linebackers get touched at the line of scrimmage and don't even track the football, and a guy cuts a run back for 70 yards. That's a lack of coaching. That's a lack of will. That's a lack of want that Alabama hasn't seen since Nick Saban, literally before he walked in the door 25 years ago. I don't care how much aura Kalen DeBoer got from that one season at Washington. They don't make the playoffs this year. Go start learning Central Michigan's plays, buddy, because you're going to be gone.
We'll see what Washington's able to do in the Big Ten, but maybe it's just a situation like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left, and you know that you're better off with me as your head coach. He's going to go back to the Pacific Northwest. We said it a few weeks ago. We don't understand the culture of college football as well as we need to because Colorado doesn't have that great of a culture of college football.
We are on the verge of firing a head coach for winning a national championship a year later, and we were having an argument on this show saying a guy won't get fired a year after not making the playoff.
It's different.
I know it's different. It's the same psychoness.
But Alabama
probably is worse.
Alabama has beaten their rival. Because Bama didn't lose to Auburn.
Auburn sucks, though.
That might change this year. I think, honestly, if we want to boil this all down, the reaction of Alabama fans this week after the Florida State game is because they're petrified if they get their ass kicked by Auburn at the end of the season. Tuscaloosa won't exist anymore.
You understand where I'm coming from? It's the same psychoness. And I would argue Alabama's even higher because Ohio has NFL football teams.
But the difference between the two right now, Ohio State.
One has a national championship and one doesn't.
No.
That's
not the difference. One has not beaten their rival in 6 years.
The other a national championship. Don't forget that part, but keep going. You're right.
That's true. But it still means more to beat your rival than to lose to your rival and win a national championship in these places. It still means more.
I'm here to tell you right now. I know Alabama hates Auburn with all their passion. They will take losing to Auburn at the end of the year to win a national championship this year.
Please, if you're from the Southeast, tell me if we don't have a friend like we had for the Big Ten. Tell me who's right, because I guarantee you that's people in Tuscaloosa would rather be.
It's the same psychoness. Alabama's worse. I don't tell you right now.
But that's what I'm saying. They're worse, so that they would care more about losing to the rival.
Then why is DeBoer not on the hot seat?
He beat Auburn.
He doesn't fucking matter. Auburn sucked. They were horrible.
That's the reason why he's back here right now.
It doesn't fucking matter. They're horrible. Alabama, I'll tell you right now, Alabama cares about winning fucking championship rings. We had a friend that punted for that team. They could give less than 2 fucks. He said they care about every single person in that program walking out with an SEC championship and a national championship. And you have a head coach that can't even get you to the fucking playoff and losing to a team that's 2-10. And we're saying his seat isn't as hot as the guy who won a national championship. You've lost your damn mind. It is way hotter. Way harder. Not even a conversation. DeBoer is as good as gone. If Ryan Day loses to Michigan and wins another national championship, he won't get fired.
This is going to be our bet. If Alabama beats Auburn, doesn't win anything else, Kalen DeBoer will start next season as Alabama's head coach.
Auburn is not the level of what Michigan is.
Like I said, but Alabama hates Auburn just as much as Ohio State hates Michigan.
You're right on that. But Auburn is as bad of a program the last couple of years since Bo Nix left, as opposed to Michigan. And it's not even close. It's not even freaking close. It's 2 entirely different rivals in terms of like how good the other team is. I will stand on this 2 steps that if Alabama beats Auburn and misses the playoff and say they lose two more games. Say they lose 2 more games after this, and they beat Auburn at the end of the year and don't make the playoffs. Kalen DeBoer's gone. It doesn't matter what the fuck he does against Auburn.
I want that to be a bet that we'll just have to figure out what the loser has to do. But
they lose 2 more games. About that. I guarantee it. 2 more games. DeBoer will not be the coach no matter if he beats Auburn or not.
I know
they care about national championships at Alabama.
We'll see how it plays out because I have a feeling that we might not even get to either of those scenarios because if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I'm walking in like the strictest suit that I can possibly.
You are coaching your job.
I'm Omni-Man. I'm Omni-Man. If you're not here, I'm gonna kick your ass and kick you out. If you're not listening to me,
I don't think he has that in him. That's the thing. I don't think he has that.
You better fucking find it. You better find it.
Or else his ass is good as grass.
Real quickly, so that we can kind of get into how we're doing the pick'em this year. LSU Clemson. LSU beats Clemson 17-10. If you listen to Dabo Swinney, the difference is, they made a 60-yard field goal and we missed a 50-yard field goal. No, the difference is their defense dominated you for the entirety of the second half. And all that anybody said about LSU the last 2 years is their defense is their weakness. So what other excuse are you going to go with here?
And Nussmeier played Klubnik. Nussmeier is, right now, I would say, the best quarterback in college football. Like he played his ass off and showed why. I mean, like he's the best quarterback since Joe Burrow left. For a reason, and he showed out and played his ass off. So it's been 4 or 5 years, and people are saying LSU should be the number 1 team in the country. Hold your horses there for a second. They should easily be top 5, but this LSU team is building something back up, and Brian Kelly better not fumble this because you want to talk about another guy. We want to have this conversation again. He's on the hot seat again if he doesn't make the playoff.
That guy I will stand behind because LSU fired Coach O 2 years after he won a national championship. LSU is crazier than Alabama and Ohio State.
Alabama.
They're gonna hate you for what you said about Auburn, but they're gonna hate me twice as much for what I just said about LSU.
The Alabama fans are way crazier than LSU fans. Alabama fans, if they don't win a national championship every single year, it is a down year. We've heard that. We've heard a coach say that. You and I have sat in a room at the University of Alabama football facility and said, if we don't win a national championship, it's a failure. Right? True or false?
LSU did get pushed up to the top 3, by the way, for week 2 rankings. So they're 3rd, Penn State's 2nd, Ohio State's 1st, Georgia right behind LSU. Do we want to talk about Miami? Because I'm interested to see, are you still the Miami is back guy, or are you a little bit turned off by how close that was?
I'm not turned off. I think Notre Dame's a good football team. I am about as neutral as it comes. I think Notre Dame had the chances to win that game that they frankly just fumbled away. I think
once that quarterback gets a little bit more experience, I think that might be dangerous.
I think that they'll need more legs underneath them, and they play the easiest schedule in college football, so they'll be just fine. They'll be in the playoff. So this game, it's a rivalry game. Is what's his face on the hot seat because they lost a rivalry game?
It's not that big of a rivalry.
I just say it's a rivalry game.
Not that big of a rivalry. We played this game and we know that Ohio State and Alabama and Auburn.
I would say I'm not saying Notre Dame is on that level, but they're the next tier below. So,
but not Notre Dame versus Miami. Notre Dame hates USC way more than they hate Miami.
Yeah, I would say that more recent fans, yes. The older fans probably hate Miami as much, but I would agree to that conversation. But I don't know. I saw Carson Beck make mistakes and still be able to win a football game. I don't know. Miami, there's just a team that I need to see it proved over and over again. I don't. And plus, that game was at home. It was on their home turf. Mm-hmm. It was in the humidity of Miami. I know it's in an indoor stadium. It's still humid there. Walking in and out of the stadium, sweating your ass off. I don't know. I just need to see Miami keep proving it to me. That's my biggest worry. I would love to see Miami keep proving it to me. I would love to be proved wrong that they can continue. I need them to run the ACC table. I need to see what they look like against Florida State, because we just saw what Florida State did, right? That's going to be the one they next. I don't know if it's the next one they circle. I don't know what the schedule looks like, but it's one they will circle. They need to have these games that they threw away last year and come forward and be able to win. And Mario Cristobal needs these wins. He needs these big-time wins to put Miami back after the horrific end of last year.
And if you're going to – I mean, you have your trap game this week against Bethune, but the weeks after that, you have South Florida and Florida going into the Florida State game. Florida is top 15.
Florida and Florida State game. USF, I know it's not really a pushover, but that's a trap game right there. And those two games,
and that's what I'm saying too, because USF just punked number 25 Boise State, and I know that Boise State didn't have Genty for the first time in 6 years, but that wasn't just because Genty wasn't there. South Florida is way more talented than Boise State, and that's the reason why they dominated Boise State out of the Mountain West. South Florida is a team that any other school in the American will look at and go, they're scary for the conference. They're not scary for SEC competition, but if this is a Florida team that goes the way that they had been under Billy Napier, that's a game that I'm circling.
After those two games, we'll realize that Bama's a real contender. They win both those football games, we can have the conversation of them being a national championship favorite. I'm dead serious. Like if they're able to, and I believe Florida State is on the road, right? Florida State's on the road, and Florida's at home. Is that correct?
Florida is in Miami. Florida State is in Tallahassee.
Okay, so like I said, after those two games, after going to Tallahassee and what Florida State just did, if they're able to continue doing it, those two wins would be massive, massive positions to put them on top of, frankly, top two in the country. Not even like a top five. Like they're already hovering there.
They're at 5 right now in week 2. And by the way, Florida State jumped from unranked to 14th after that win over Alabama.
Exactly. Showed how horrible job Kalen DeBoer's doing. I just think that Miami has to prove it to me again. They have to prove it to me. I like Notre Dame's team. I think they'll be a playoff team no matter what. I think what they're doing over there is still, they just, frankly, Miami just keyed on Jeremiah Love, and they couldn't.
He never got the ball.
I know
they didn't give the ball to either of their two studs from the semifinals last year.
Didn't make any sense at all. So I think Notre Dame is going to be figuring it out quickly, but Miami needs to continue to prove it to me.
So finishing out the top 5, we have Ohio State 1, Penn State 2, LSU 3, Georgia 4, Miami at 5, Oregon at 6. They dominated their cupcake to open the season. We'll see what they do for the Big Ten schedule. Texas at 7, so they dropped from 1 to 7. Clemson drops 4 spots down to 8. Notre Dame drops 3 down to 9. South Carolina, the other school in Clemson, moves themselves up 3 spots from 13 to 10 after their win in week 1. Other schools that are right there, Illinois, Arizona State, Florida State, and then Michigan would be your top 15. So lots of movement in week 1. And I think this is what we're going to have to start getting accustomed to. We'll see a lot of movement week 1, especially if these big matchups continue to be here. Week 2, probably not going to be a whole lot of movement. You should see teams, because this is where everybody put their pillow. Like you start hard, and then you nap during week 2, and then conference schedule starts week 3 or 4, and then we'll really figure it out.
There's a reason why the schedule looks this way, and the NFL starts in week 2 for college football, because this slate is horrifying. I just look at the game like, all right, well,
there's almost no ranked matchups. The only one that I'm really excited for is the South Florida matchup, because I want to see if Florida is going to even the turtle.
No pun intended. Not even going to get me up at night. Like that's not a. I need to watch this football game on Saturday kind of game. I'm sorry, it's just not. So it's going to be preparing for the NFL Sunday.
Only the sickos like me are going to be really locked in and enticed to that. Let's look ahead. We'll get to the North Carolina thing. I put them in my segments to make sure that we talk plenty about them. I do have to try and keep a schedule because I don't think that there's going to be rain or weather this week. Practice isn't going to get canceled. Our pick'em this year is going to be slightly different. We've been picking the same games over the last 4 years, and I decided this week we'll be able for this season we'll be able to pick our own games, and that way we have the ability for both of us to go 4-0. We have the ability for both of us to go 0-4. Our teams might win; they might not be a part of the picks. We're going to keep track of our records that way, and then that way Nico and I don't have to just pick opposite to pick opposite or pick the same to pick the same. Because yes, that worked while we were kind of figuring this thing out. Now that we're a little bit more seasoned, I feel like we can kind of shift things. So week 1 of the NFL Pick'em, let's go game by game. So what's your first game?
Also, hold on. Some great logos on the screen, by the way. I want to give myself a pat.
I appreciate the Bengals one that you found. I have a sticker that's that logo. I believe that's 1963, and they never put that on a helmet again. So I appreciate that one.
I wanted to find as many sick old classic logos as I could, and the best ones I could find. So enjoy the graphics. That's what it's going to be all year, ladies and gentlemen. So
that'll work. Let's start with your first game, and you can go in as much depth or as little depth as you want. Where are you starting for this week?
The Broncos are going to kick the absolutely crap out of Tennessee. I welcome. This is your welcome to the league moment, Cam Ward. This defense looks humming. I think this offense is really going to put a pounding on this mid at best Tennessee Titans defense. The Broncos are going to. I think it all facets this football game. My biggest worry about this game is that the team is not going to be wearing orange and that they'll be wearing white at home for their home opener. That's my biggest worry. I don't understand. That was the rumor, and I was like, please don't do that. Why we wear orange at home? Orange is in our lifeblood, but let's wear white at home, I guess, for a home opener. So that's my biggest worry walking into this football game. All right, I'm expecting a dominating performance. I'm expecting a game. I don't know what the score will end up being because I don't like predicting scores because I think it's like throwing a needle in a haystack and trying to find it. I think that we will dominate this football game at least by 2+ touchdowns. I think if the Broncos want to put a stamp on what everyone's talked about in the offseason, the best defensive football, and put a stamp on an offense that's revamped under Sean Payton with J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Evan Ingram, and company coming into the fold, they need to put on a great performance here. So I have Broncos beating the Titans as my number 1 pick 'em.
I think that I'm not going to sit here and say that I predict a different outcome. I'll talk about this game a little bit more when I get down to it. My first matchup I'm picking, I think the Jaguars are going to beat the Panthers. I know that everybody's really high on what Bryce Young did at the end of last season. This is more so because it's prove it for Trevor Lawrence. You came in as what was the, quote, best prospect since Andrew Luck, and you have not lived up to a single shred of that. Now you have Brian Robinson. You have Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. You have Travis Hunter. You have all of these things in place, and you're the guy. You got the extension. Prove it. And I think that the Panthers, if the Jaguars were going to see anybody else on the schedule, I think they maybe wanted to see the Titans. But seeing the Panthers week 1, with not knowing if they're going to be able to keep that momentum they had at the end of the season, I am fairly confident that the Jaguars are going to be able to pull this one out. Not going to be a pretty game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored, but I think Trevor Lawrence has the ability to beat Bryce Young as a battle in this battle of former number 1 in the top 5 overall picks.
I will say the one thing of note for this football game, for those fantasy football guys out there like me that like reading this stuff up, Travis Hunter is listed as the wide receiver 1. Or actually, I take it back. Sorry, I misspoke. Wide receiver 1. Z slot across from Brian Thomas Jr. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So he's slotted as the number 1 receiver alongside Brian Thomas, and he's slotted as the backup cornerback. So does that mean we get more Travis Hunter on the offensive side of football? It seems so. So that's the big question for this game for me. It's what are we going to see from him? Is it both sides? Is it one side of the football more than the other? Is it trying to do every play? I highly doubt it's going to be every play. But I would be very surprised if we didn't see him on both sides of the ball. So that's probably the most intriguing thing about that game for me.
I've been hearing that it's probably going to be starting at receiver and then your nickel corner for a while, at least until you understand how the NFL game works, and possibly put on some weight. He's probably going to get a bump because he had a kid. Let's put some muscle on you so that you can take everything at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. I know receivers are skinny, but it's not because they lack muscle. You have to be able to get off of a press. You have to be able to open up space. You have to be able to lock down receivers at the line of scrimmage. It'll be very interesting. And that one, too, obviously with the Travis Hunter tie, I'm going to be paying quite a bit of attention. My second pick is going to come as a shock because
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of faith in this Colts team.
You have faith in
But I
Daniel
think
Jones?
No, but he is projected to have at least 20 points in fantasy in some of the leagues that I've been looking at. He might score some points. I got Booger McFarland infested in my ear. He says outside of the quarterback position, the Colts are talented enough to make the playoffs. Well, I'm not necessarily willing enough to go that far. They were in the playoff race last year with Anthony Richardson at quarterback.
If Jonathan Taylor didn't fumble the ball on the 1 yard line, they probably were the last wildcard team over us.
Yes.
So
that was with Anthony Richardson.
Yes, that's true.
I think that Daniel Jones, as bad as he is in the NFL, I do still think he's a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. And Miami has had turmoil after turmoil. They finally didn't nominate Tyreek Hill as the captain. Mike McDaniel is talking about every day is awesome because you're one day closer to death. Like, just the vibes of this thing alone and the fact that it's not Anthony Richardson for the Colts, I'm willing to put this will be my one. Like, if I get it, cool. If I didn't, it was the feeling that I had when I saw the schedule. For some reason, I was like, the Colts are going to be the Dolphins.
I saw those two teams. And I'm not even touching that with the 10-foot pole. I was like, I'm not even considering that the slightest.
Notice how I'm not putting money on it. I'm just putting my reputation on it.
My number 2, I have the Birds over the Cowgirls. Cowgirls have been in so much turmoil. I don't think that defense without Micah Parsons.
How pissed were you when we missed Micah Parsons' trade by a day? Like 24 hours.
That was very funny. I thought it was very funny. I was like, of course that happened. Look, I think Micah Parsons is battling an injury, though, physically, so he may not even play for week 1 against the Packers. So maybe the Cowboys dodges a bullet there. The Eagles are such a better team. I don't know what the we've looked at the stat the last couple of years, what the record is of the Super Bowl winning team on the first game of the season. I don't know. I feel God in this Chili's tonight for the Eagles. I don't know. I think that with Saquon year 2, I think the whole team basically returning back. I don't think there's much really differences from this team from year 1 to year 2 after what they just did last year. You have a second year of Blankenship. You have a second year of Cooper DeJean. You have a second year in the full system, a full offseason. May it be with Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. I think this Eagles team is going to be a tough one to beat. So I'll take the Eagles over the Cowgirls.
Division rivalries are always strange, but Philly is favored by 7.5, and it's at home. It's the banner night. The Chiefs won. If you remember back to last year, the Super Bowl champion won last season by a toe. So I don't know if it's going to be close. I don't think that it should be close, especially, bringing in Kenny Clark, who might not even play for you in that Micah Parsons deal. But I do still I'm interested to see how this Eagles team handles success, because last time that they had success, it was good for a while, but there were issues. If there's no issues early, then I'm willing to put my faith in a possible back-to-back.
I am very interested to see how George Pickens does look in this offense, and with Javonte Williams as running back. So hopefully Dak has another good year, because I do have him on the fantasy team. My third one, I love this one. I don't know. I may be sipping the Cardinals Kool-Aid a little too much, but the Saints are the worst team in football. I will stand on that 2 feet down.
Until proven otherwise, I would like us to only refer to them as the Aints.
I may pick against them every single week. I'm dead serious. I may not remove this logo from this graphic every single week. I think there's a very good chance whoever they're playing, I pick against them. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's the logo they had when Archie Manning was drafted.
Archie Manning was the quarterback, and this is the Pat Tillman logo for the Cardinals. It's a little different. There's no outline, and there's little feathers at the top of his head. Is all I'll say. I don't know. I'm not in love with the Cardinals team. I am in love with their new Earned It or whatever hell City Edition jerseys they have. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
Did you draft Trey McBride in any of your fantasy leagues?
Oh, I have him in 2 dynasty leagues.
I was going to say he's a guy that I unfortunately couldn't get in our snake draft or the bid draft, and I was like, that is going to be. I love McBride.
He in Colorado State boy. He's awesome to work with.
Also, a guy that reportedly dominated the Broncos defense in their joint practice.
It doesn't surprise me.
Of the Cardinals offense in that whole sequence of the joint practice.
It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And then we have year 2 of Marvin Harrison Jr. We'll see how that looks. He had a very, very quiet last year. And you have a second year running back tandem, but Trey Benson and James Conner, which I think could be upgraded. But Trey Benson will get a lot more looks this year, so I'm excited to see that for him. I love this Cardinals team better in terms of the worst teams in the league, and in terms of like when it comes to bad versus bad, I give the Cardinals a slight edge of being less bad than the other bad teams. So that's why I have the Cardinals beating the Saints. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I do think the Cardinals are a better football team than the Saints, so I have to go with the Cardinals here.
It makes sense. My third pick, I'm probably gonna try and have a Bengals game in there every week, whether it's I'm picking for them or against them. I'm nervous because of what happened last year, week 1, because that Patriots game is gonna haunt me. I came back and made it close, but that was almost like the Achilles heel of my entire season was picking the Bengals to beat the Patriots. I do think that they'll beat this Browns team. Joe Flacco at quarterback. I think Trey Hendrickson, this is like a good, solid team to go up against to get your feet back under you. We might see some flashes from Shamar Stewart. We've talked about it. I'm circling week 4. I'm going to be in Denver when the Bengals are in Denver for the Bronco game. And that's going to be the catalyst of which team decides to move forward and be a true playoff contender. But until then, I would like to see my team win as many games going into that marquee heavyweight matchup as possible. And the Browns are a terrible team. They're so bad.
Was Joe Flacco scare you more than Dillon Gabriel / Shedeur?
Dillon Gabriel would honestly scare me because for the longest time, if a Bengals coordinator doesn't have a lot of film to go off of, they struggle.
Yeah, it doesn't go.
Like they go back 15 years and they can watch what Joe Flacco is good at and what he's not good at, and he can throw a deep ball, but he's old. He won't move. If you can just get a little bit of a pass rush.
It is the new D coordinator though, so it is different though. So that does play a little bit factor.
I honestly I'm pretty sure you're happy that the Titans are the Broncos week 1. I'm pretty happy that the Browns are the Bengals week 1 because that's
Didn't we have this conversation 2 years ago? Was it? Yeah, was it against the Browns 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
It was like I think it was 3 years ago. It was the season after the Super Bowl. But that was also
Baker's last year where we were like
that was Baker. That was good. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I trust Baker 10 times farther than I trust Joe Flacco or
I agree.
Any of the other quarterbacks that they have there. I don't like it. It's in Cleveland. It's ugly. It's NFC North football. I'm not expecting like a ton
Ohio
of
football.
It is Ohio football. I do think that Joe Burrow, I'm not going to have as many people telling me, man, your guy sucks in fantasy this year. I'm going to have a lot of happy people.
Yeah,
I drafted Joe Burrow. Thank you.
Yeah, because you paid Jamar and T. Higgins all his money. You better fucking throw the ball. That's all.
That's all they do, Nico. They don't run the ball at all. Their offensive coordinator decided that running the ball was overrated.
Good.
We pass, and if we want to run, we throw a screen to T or Jamar. That's it.
And don't give Chase Brown the ball. It's another reason why no one should have drafted him in fantasy football.
He'll get a couple catches.
My last one, I decided to do probably the biggest pick of the weekend. And I think probably going to be the game that, frankly, can go 10 different directions. I don't know. I'm going to stand on the fact of the Buffalo over Baltimore conversation. I think the addition of Joey Bosa is going to help this Buffalo Bills team a lot. I think that having some veteran leadership back the team is going to help a lot. Bringing back Jordan Pryor a year after removal, bringing back Gabe Davis, I think that is going to help the offensive side of the ball and the defense side of the ball in terms of veteran leadership and a little bit of calming presence. I don't think Gabe Davis will get as many touches as he did when he first was in Buffalo.
He's wide receiver 3 behind Coleman and Shahir.
Exactly, which he should be, because those two are way better than he is right now. But he can bring that veteran leadership to try to calm them down and help them with making the right plays and making the right routes and everything. I think Pryor, I don't think he's going to start either, as a guy that's going to help on that back end defensively as well. I don't know. I'm sipping the Bills Kool-Aid. I know I'm a big Derrick Henry fan, and I just think that the Ravens are, if not now, when. I don't know. Like they're going to have to. I think this may be the year where, if they're not able to figure this out, they may have to do a new whole identity offensively around Lamar Jackson. They have Zay Flowers. They have Mark Andrews. They have Derrick Henry now. This defense needs to be able to produce consistently, and their offense has to be able to stay on the field and not make mistakes, fumbling the football, throwing interceptions. Because, like I said, both these two teams right now are staring down the man dressed in red, as Taylor Swift would say, in the Chiefs and hunting them down in hopes of trying to make the Super Bowl. Both these teams have Super Bowl aspirations. Both these teams will more than likely win their division, if not be top 2 in their division. These two teams need to get off on the right foot, and I think Buffalo starts it the right way.
I would say if I was picking this one, I like Buffalo because of what Joe Brady has proven he can do at the NFL level. Because remember, he got fired as a part of that Matt Rule staff in Carolina, and it wasn't working. He tried to just take the LSU offense that he had that year with Joe Burrow and put it into the NFL, and it didn't go well. He started back over in Buffalo. He was under the former offensive coordinator before he took over the job. Buffalo runs the shit out of the football, and they figure out how to get the ball in their guys' hands.
James Cook is really
James
good.
Cook, yeah. That's what I meant.
James
And Josh Allen too. When they design runs for him, it's not just letting him. Remember his rookie season when he would be running down the sideline, and then all of a sudden you accidentally hit the L1 button. You're like, why do you pitch it?
Just keep going.
Why did you toss it backwards? Don't do that. Just keep running. You're 6'5". Run somebody over. I think that Buffalo. I trust Buffalo more than Baltimore, especially Week 1. Because remember, Baltimore is the team that lost by a toe last year in Week 1.
Yes, sir.
Isaiah likely should have wore 12.5 instead of 13s. My last pick for this one. I am going to try and do a total because I know that we don't have a dedicated betting segment anymore, but we might as well keep it in there. For myself, if I'm looking at this one, I'm seeing a second-year quarterback and a rookie quarterback going up against two teams that the strength of their whole entire roster right now is the defense. Tennessee, as bad as they are, the number 1 overall pick and all, their defense is better than their offense, and the Broncos' defense is considered top 5, top 3, top maybe 1 in the NFL. You have the returning defensive player of the year. Zach Allen got his huge ticket. Benito's possibly going to get signed at some point. You brought in Drake Greenlaw. Yeah, no, exactly. That's going to be right after we're done recording this segment, and then I'm going to be sitting there at practice at 6:30, like, damn it. Hufanga is going to be good for this team. I just don't know if there's going to be a ton of points scored. As good as this defense is, the no-fly zone scored on their own. I don't know.
I think this defense could outscore the Titans' offense.
It may be, but 42. I like the 42.5 because the Broncos can score 20. They can hold the Tennessee Titans to 10, and then it's under. I think that.
I think the Broncos cap would be 30 points, and I think they can hold this team to under 10 points. So even though I think the team Broncos win by 2 touchdowns, I think that's very, very doable.
Yeah, you just got to hope that Tennessee doesn't get garbage time points. Life's a little bit too short to bet the under, so I'm not necessarily thrilled that I decided to throw one out there. But if any matchup is going to go under, I feel like that one has the best chance. We'll keep track of our records. We'll keep everybody updated on whether or not we had a good week, we had a bad week, and let's get into the wrap-up of our show. Let's talk about Player of the Week first. We both mentioned our guys. My guy is Thomas Castellanos, transfer quarterback from Boston College. Bill O'Brien told this guy he's not good enough to get whatever deal that he wanted at Boston College. He says, fine, I'll enter the transfer portal. He's 5'10", 195 pounds. He's teeny tiny. The dude has balls.
The best part about it is he didn't have to. He didn't have to change helmets and change uniforms. He's wearing the same helmet and same jersey. He just has to change the logos on it.
Instead of the Catholic cross, now he's got the Seminole spear.
I was looking at photos of for the graphic, obviously, and I was like, wait a second. That's in a Boston College uniform. Can't use that. Boston College uniform. Can't use that. Is this the same fucking jersey? And I was like, oh, it's
pretty damn close. It's kind of scary how close it is, actually.
It's like really nuts how crazy it looks.
This is mainly for his comments in the offseason. Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban to save them from me. And then he went out and did what he did. I know the passing numbers aren't what you'd normally think. This guy is a dual threat, true dual threat. He put a lot of hurt on this Alabama defense on the ground, and he's just a calming presence. I liken him to Pavia last year in Vanderbilt. When your quarterback believes you can beat anybody, everybody else kind of starts to believe that shit too, whether it's true or not.
Everyone starts drinking out of the same Kool-Aid, being like, you know what, I think that we got a chance here. We can do this.
Yes.
My player of the week, I went Garrett Nussmeier. These numbers I just thought were nuts. Throwing the ball 35 times, 232 yards, a touchdown. That's NFL quarterback numbers. That we don't see those type of passing numbers from college quarterbacks. You literally don't. No slight to Thomas Castellanos, but these numbers from Nussmeier, and like I said earlier, he's the best quarterback in college football at the second. Obviously, things can change, but that's the second. I believe he's the best guy out there, and LSU has that team humming. So Nussmeier leading the way.
It didn't put up the yardage numbers of what Burrow used to, but I've been hearing people say that he has the same amount of anticipation as what Burrow had. Like the fastest guy that anticipates his receivers getting out of his routes, so he throws before his receivers turn around a lot.
And he doesn't have the Jamar Chase and Justin Jeffersons that Burrow had. So if Nussmeier continues putting these numbers up, we could have a strong conversation about him being a New Orleans Saint quarterback next year. So
I don't know if he wants to do that.
I don't know if he does either.
Can I reapply for another year of eligibility? Bench warmer of the week. I'll let you go first because I went.
This is the biggest story no one's talking about. Steve Ballmer is doing shady things in LA. Pablo Torre, not Pablo Sandoval, not the backyard baseball guy. Pablo Torre, guy who used to work for ESPN, works for I believe the New York Post.
He's also the one that broke the Bill Belichick story about his girlfriend getting canceled too.
Exactly. So Pablo Torre released a story this morning as we're recording this. Kawhi Leonard was paid $28 million by Aspiration. What is Aspiration, you ask? Well, an Aspiration is one of the sponsors of the Los Angeles Clippers, where they plant trees for every dollar you donate. $28 million said to Kawhi Leonard to be a spokesperson for Aspiration. Have you ever heard of Aspiration? No. Exactly.
I didn't know Kawhi Leonard had endorsements.
Aspiration was a tree company that was heavily funded by none other Steve Ballmer, and their reports in their bankruptcy reports, which they just filed for bankruptcy, they have to obviously when they file for bankruptcy, you have to make public the documents of who's getting paid what and where all the money is allocated and everything, and under the payments made, payment named to KL2 Productions. For those that aren't very smart, what number does Kawhi Leonard wear, Jimmy?
I'm going to say dose.
Number 2, $28 million. And
that's almost as dumb as the Venmo transactions we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
It may be worse. So not only did Kawhi Leonard get an extra $28 million under the table for promoting a product that doesn't exist, they circumvented the cap.
Oh, if you mess with the owner's money, you mess with the owner's money.
You are.
It doesn't matter if you replace the most racist owner of all time. You are out of there, Ballmer.
So the last time this happened was, I believe, 1960 something with the Minnesota Timberwolves. What happened, you may ask? The Minnesota Timberwolves were forced to sell a team. Joe Smith, I think was his name, had to force to sell a team. They were forced to give up 5 first-round draft picks for the next 5 years, which, by the way, the Clippers don't have because the Oklahoma City Thunder own them, which also makes it even funnier. And all this, and Kawhi Leonard is still getting paid to do nothing in his own contract. There is not a person on this planet that has gotten paid more for doing nothing in their job than Kawhi Leonard. He got paid one of the fattest contracts in NBA history. And the NBA is very specific. You are not to be given a penny over what your contract is owed, or you are getting handed down a heavy fine. $28 million later. This is one of the biggest sports stories that is just now breaking that is going to be a hot topic going into next year, this upcoming season. Like this is going to cost the Clippers so much money. Ballmer may be forced to sell a team after he just bought the Intuit Dome for millions and billions of dollars. This is a very shady thing, and the only thing that Steve Ballmer has going for him is he could. And Mark Cuban said this because I don't know if and Mark Cuban obviously is an owner. Ballmer may have gotten shot under the rug for a company that was just fake. But we're talking about one of the richest men in the entire world. That is not a coincidence. You don't think for a second he knows what he's investing in? You don't think for a second he knows where the money's being allocated to?
He's worth $153.1 billion.
Billion dollars, more than Taylor Swift money that dude has. This is, like I said, it's going to be one of the biggest sports stories we've ever heard. And when all this information and there was an investigation, funny enough, back in 2019 when this happened. Because let's not forget, the real upset people here are Toronto Raptors fans because they win a championship and then Kawhi Leonard says, "Oh yeah, I'll go sign for X amount of money in LA," and then, "Oh, you're gonna give me $30 more million? I'll do that." Toronto had it made, and then a year later after the signing and everything happened, they went to investigation and the NBA saw no harm, no foul. They said, "You know what? He's a spokesperson for it." All the other thing. There has not been in the 6 years, 2019, 6 years since Kawhi Leonard signed with the LA Clippers, there has been one post about aspiration. And you know what the one post was? It was a tweet back in 2023 that said, "Everyone wish Kawhi Leonard a happy birthday. And for every retweet, aspiration will plant a tree."
Did they plant those trees?
I don't think so. That's the thing is, I don't think they did. These tree planting things, as much fun as it is, it's unfortunately become one of the biggest scams in America. Is these tree planting, do good for the world kind of things we donate to? You don't even know what you're donating to. Unfortunately, that's one of the biggest scams in the world today. And the fact that $28 million got shoved over to Kawhi Leonard, and you don't think that the NBA is going to hammer down on this? Oh, boy, if you're a Clippers fan, you're like, "Oh, God, what are we going to lose? What draft picks are we going to lose? Oh, wait, we don't have draft picks. Okay, what does that mean? Ballmer's going to have to sell a team? Oh, no. What happens to the Intuit Dome? Do we have to go back to Staples Center because we can't pay rent there?" Is a lot of questions. Steve Ballmer is under big, heavy problems right now.
I thought that Bill Belichick was having the worst week of all time, and then you just told me about that. I hadn't heard about the Ballmer story. The Belichick thing is bad, and I think he got hosed a little bit by the NCAA because to schedule TCU as his first game when TCU just had to go up against CU in Prime's first game, TCU knew what to do and what not to do, and they handle business. Like Bill Belichick, by the way, his backup quarterback who had to be inserted into the game and then I think got knocked out is as old as his girlfriend that we've been hearing so much about. It's just not like – and I'll give him maybe another week but because he did get his ass handed to him in his first NFL coaching job. But that was terrible.
North Carolina doesn't beat NC State at the end of the year, is he on the hot seat?
You're bringing up teams that don't have as much of a rivalry depth.
And also North Carolina Duke. I tell you that, not NC State.
Yeah, it would be Duke.
That's different. But
is Bill Belichick going to be coaching basketball anytime soon? Because he might still be able to be there, losing as badly as he did.
Over under 2 years until his son takes over the head coaching job.
I think it's one. I think it's under.
I think it's under too. He took the job for that reason.
Yeah, and then his son's got to be sitting there like, "I don't want this shit.
I don't want. I have all these.
You could have turned over the Patriots to me instead of North Carolina."
Yeah, Mia Hamm. You have Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor. Everyone who's a who's who of North Carolina came and watched that game, being like, "Oh my God, what am I investing my money into?" Like, this is horrible.
Nobody's going to be going to football games in Chapel Hill anytime soon. You got a play of the week as we're wrapping this thing up?
I'll just say Alabama losing and making me very happy because I love when the big time schools go down. So
I'll give one because I'm sure that you probably saw this, if not in the moment, but that CJ Daniels catch in the Miami Notre Dame game, the one where he's going backward, like Beck totally missed the ball where he was supposed to throw it. It's in between two defenders and he goes backward and Odell's it, diving himself as far as he can backward. I was like, damn, these college kids are different. How the hell did I ever play college football, even if it wasn't at this level? I shouldn't have been there. No, it's totally different. Anything else before we send people off and I go coach the 8th graders in some football?
I need football back in my blood. I need water. I'm excited for this season to get started. So I can't wait to see the orange and blue back on TV and back in person in new seats in Mile High Stadium. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about that next offseason because all those rumors are going to be circulating all season long about where the team's playing and blah, blah, blah. I can't wait for that to start because I love college football. I like watching college football. I was thinking about this on Saturday. I was watching just a random game. I forgot who it was on Saturday or Friday night. I was sitting there. I was like, I could care less about this game. I'm sorry. It was between two. It was like, I think it was like Louisville and somebody on Saturday night. And I was sitting there watching the game. I was like, I don't care. I don't. No. And
I've rewatched a few of the games from the first weekend that weren't even the marquee matches.
But when it comes to the NFL, if I miss a primetime football game, I'm like, what did I miss? I need to go and watch this. And I cannot wait for Thursday, cannot wait for Friday, can't wait for Sunday, can't wait for Monday. Waiting all day for Sunday, baby. Not Sunday night, but Sunday in general. Can't wait. So
if you missed football, this is the weekend for you. We're getting that controlled substance back. Make sure you follow.
I hope you had a wonderful summer, girlfriends and friends out there of significant others that weren't football involved. Now your entire weekend revolves around how your boyfriend's team's games are going and what time the game's on.
RIP to all those spring and summer relationships. The fall is here. We're all back with our mistress football. Make sure you follow at FEOTB Pod. Make sure you bookmark feotbpod.org. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the Rise of the Roadrunner series this Friday as we take on the Temple Owls at the Alamo Dome. And just make sure that you continue to support, tell a friend. We appreciate everything so far. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Nico Bryant, episode 246 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.